Good morning, Nathan. Here's the machine. This is the Breville Barista Express BES870 in silver. Just going to show you how the machine works. So I'm going to demo the machine and I guess speak about all the tips and tricks that I know about it. So externally the machine is in good condition, I would say, maybe at 8 out of 10. So it does have some light scratches here, from use. Maybe a ding here, a few dings, but it's really small. Same thing here, there's very light scratches and a ding, but it's not major at all. And on the left and right hand side, it's actually very clean. Some light scratches here. I guess this is from the milk jug when steaming. This is what happens. Even when you get this machine brand new, you get scratches within a week, so it's inevitable, really. The front panel is nice, not too many scratches around, and yeah, the machine will be serviced, cleaned, checked, everything, so you have nothing to worry about, and still under warranty for 3 months. Okay, so the machine usually takes about a minute to turn on and warm up, which is pretty quick. Always make sure you have enough water, because if you don't have enough water, it will scream. I like to begin my session with a blank shot, so just pressing the 2-cup button without putting any coffee, just to run hot water through the system, run hot water through the handle as well, and this will warm up my cup if I put my cup underneath. So it's like a double whammy, triple whammy even. So this cup is a little bit too big, but it should work. There we go. I'm gonna prepare my milk in the meantime. You can do this once, twice, up to you really. Let's do it twice. Cool. Now that the machine is nice and hot, my portafilter is nice and hot, which is important, and the cup is nice and hot. You want these to be hot to keep your coffee hot, obviously, but also it will maintain temperatures and make sure everything is stable. If you keep the machine on for maybe half an hour, this tray will get warm as well. So you can keep your mugs and cups over here. You can probably fit 2 or 3 cups here, and it'll keep them warm. But anyway, I like to run the blank shot just to warm up the system as well. You don't have to, you can still make a coffee by just turning it on, but I think it makes things a bit hotter and better. Okay, now let's do the grinding. So you want to take this out, dry it, probably with a tissue or a towel. You want this to be dry before grinding, otherwise the coffee grounds will stick onto it. I'm gonna use this basket, which is the double shot single wall basket. It's like the best one. You should be using this one if you have fresh coffee and you like your coffee nice and strong. I personally use this myself. So with the portafilter dry, I'm gonna use my scale to measure, measure how much ground coffee we get, because that's important. We want about 18 grams of ground coffee into here. It doesn't have to be exactly 18 grams, a little bit more, a little bit less is okay, but it's recommended to dose 18 grams in the double shot basket. So I'm just going to calibrate my scale here. Cool. Yeah, so 18 grams, this is a double shot. With the single shot, I think it's about 10 or 9 grams. And there's also the dual wall baskets. Those baskets are for pre-ground coffee. So if you're not using the grinder, if you're using supermarket beans or decaf beans, you can use the dual wall pressurized baskets. This is the non-pressurized, which is better. It'll make your coffees look and taste better. You just have to make sure you select the correct grind size. So it's all about experimenting and trying out different settings. So at the moment, let's try number 8. Number 8 looks fine enough to me, so let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it looks fine enough, and especially if you're using fresh beans, you don't have to grind that fine. as long as the beans are not, you know, really old or really bad quality beans. I'm using the Aldi brand, which is actually pretty good for the price especially. So usually it gives me good pressure, good crema. So yeah, 18 grams. I'm gonna put this grind amount at about 2 o'clock and we can see how much that gives us. You can keep it on double, this will give you, you know, a double amount. I personally like to keep it on single because that way I can measure it halfway and press it down with the tamper. So I think it's more consistent that way. Okay, that's my first dose. Let's see how much that gave us. Okay, that's about 9.5. So if we put it up here, so if you put it, let's see. Okay, so if we keep it up here at 1 o'clock, let's see what that gives us. So obviously this is not, now it's about 9 grams. 9 grams twice is 18, so that's why I'm doing it twice. Okay. It'll be a bit close to the edge, so make sure you don't spill anything. That's 18.5. Okay, so this will, about 12 o'clock should give you about 9 grams every time. Yeah, so keep it at around 12 o'clock on the grind amount dial, and it more or less will give you the same amount every time. This is the grind size number 8, so we'll see how that goes. You know, with the grind size, when I'm making my coffees, if the coffee comes out very quick and very, you know, it lacks crema, then that's probably because the grind size is very, very coarse and the particles are really big. But now I'm going to tamp it down. If my coffee comes out really slow and really small and short, that's probably because the grind size is too fine. So that's where I'm going to increase my grind size to make it flow a bit easier. So it's just a balancing act. You want the grind size to be correct so that the coffee doesn't flow too quick or too slow. The same thing will be reflected on the gauge. If the pressure is too high, that means your coffee is too fine. If the pressure is too low, that means the coffee is too coarse. Here's the tamping. So if you don't have a scale, you can still get decent coffee and obviously dial in the machine like you like, to your liking. You just have to put the correct amount of coffee and you have to eyeball it. So if you don't have a scale, I guess a good tip is after you grind your coffee, after you tamp it down, the tamper should go as deep as the silver cap on the tamper. Just like that. This is about 18 grams. So after I pressed it down very firmly, and then at the end I'm going to twist just to polish the surface. This is the depth. If it's more than this, if the tamper only goes this deep, then that's too much coffee. If it goes really deep into the handle, then that's too little coffee. But yeah, this is what it should look like. Try to get it in this range. Okay, that's 18 grams. Clean the edges and lock it in. Don't force it too hard. I mean, usually it's good at 6 o'clock here, dead center, maybe a bit more like 5 o'clock, but 6 o'clock is okay. The thing is with this rubber seal, if you don't tighten it enough, it might leak, obviously, because you don't tighten it enough. But you don't want to force it too hard. You don't want to press the coffee and smash the coffee. So you want it to be, let's say 6 o'clock should be fine. Okay, so let's make the espresso. So you can do the espresso first, you can do the milk first, it's really up to you. I personally like to do the espresso first. I don't know, I feel like it's just easier to grind espresso than do the milk. But a lot of people suggest doing the milk first because you know, switching from milk to espresso is quicker than switching from espresso to milk, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's all good. So before making your espresso, you want to add your sugar. This is a milk jug, by the way. You want to add your sugar and any syrups. This machine also has a hot water tap, very handy over here. You can use this for heating up your mugs with hot water. You can use it for making tea. You can use it for making Americanos, obviously. I'm going to use it to dissolve my sugar because I like to dissolve it a little bit before my espresso shot. This gives you clean hot water straight from the boiler. Okay. So now I'm going to use my scale again to measure how much liquid espresso comes out. So I put about 18 grams in here. For espresso, I should use a 2-to-1 ratio, so about 36, maybe 40 grams of coffee in my cup. So I'm going to use the scale again to measure that. If you don't have a scale, you can probably learn what 40 grams looks like, you know, by eye. It's not very hard. But you can actually program the buttons as well. So these buttons are programmable. You can set them to specific volumes of water or grams of coffee. So so from factory they come at 60 grams, I think, and 40, I think, 60 and 40. Breville programs them very, very long for unknown reasons. I'm not sure why they make their coffee so long. If you want to ever reset to factory settings, you hold this button. And after the machine beeps, that's factory settings right there. But I'm going to show you how to reprogram to your custom settings. So obviously you need to do this with coffee in the handle and everything. So I'm going to use my scale to just confirm the dose. But now, to reprogram, I've put in my coffee, double shot, everything. I will press program, and then I'm going to press the button that I want to program. And then the machine will start giving me coffee. And then after that, when it reaches the desired amount, I'm going to press it again. Quite simple, actually. And the machine will remember that every time. When you're making your coffee, make sure of a few things. You need to keep an eye on a few things. So how the coffee flows. So I'm using a transparent cup so you can see. You want your coffee to flow nice and smooth, not too slow, like it shouldn't be black drops, and not too quick. It shouldn't be like a river, like rushing out of the spouts. It should be nice and controlled, nice and smooth, almost like warm honey. That's what people say. And you want your pressure gauge to be roughly around 12 o'clock. You know, a bit more, a bit less is okay. It should be roughly within 12 o'clock. Dead center. If it's too little, that means your coffee is coarse. If it's too high, that means your coffee is fine. I'm not sure what we'll get because this is, you know, it's my first time dialing in these new beans that I've gotten. So you might need to change the grind size depending on different beans. Okay, program. And you want this to be happening around 20 to 30 seconds. That's a very nice flow. It is a little bit quick. Let's stop it right there. It's about 15 seconds. Let's see. That's 42 grams, perfect. So now every time you press the button, it'll give you 42 grams of water, or pretty much 42 grams of coffee. As you saw, the pressure was around 12 o'clock. It was a good pressure, and we did get some good crema, but it was a little bit too quick. It wasn't horrible, it was just a little bit too quick. So the range I usually aim for is I want to get this 40 grams of coffee in about 20 to 30 seconds. Not to get too scientific, but I guess that's the best range for espresso. If it comes out too quick, or too slow, it'll change the taste. So let's taste this. Oh wow, it's actually pretty good. It's not too bad. Yeah, so that's espresso. Let's do the milk now. With the milk, you want to turn it on and wait until it gets full pressure. So it will take about 10, maybe 15 seconds to reach steam pressure. And then give it a few more seconds just to give it a chance to get stronger. I'm going to use my personal milk jug here. And the technique I'm going to use is... so with the steam function, you can turn it off. And you can turn it off like I did now, and it'll give you 5 seconds until you can turn it back on. If you don't turn it back on, it'll go back to espresso mode. So anyway, I'm gonna try to speak while the steam is running. You want to use the technique where the milk wand is at an angle like that, and sort of spinning the milk in circles. And you want the tip to be close to the surface. That way you can inject air into the milk. So you want to do that for maybe 20 seconds. This is getting really loud. You want to do this for 20 seconds, and then after that you want to raise the jug to stop injecting air. Because if you inject air for too long, it becomes more of a cappuccino than a latte. And then stop it when it's hot enough, when it's too hot to touch. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on. I'm injecting air into the milk now. It's close to the surface. You can hear it hissing. That's the noise you want to be hearing. Hissing means you're injecting air. Spinning in a circle. And then I'm not going to hold this for too long, maybe 5 more seconds. And then I'm going to raise the jug, because I don't want to add too much air into the milk. So now I'm only spinning the milk, not injecting any more air. And then I'm just going to hold this position until the milk is too hot to touch. So when I can't touch it for, half a second or a second, I'm going to turn it off. But before you go, you want to do 2 things. So firstly, purge, just to get the milk, get rid of the milk on the inside. And very quickly, you want to grab a wet towel and wipe this straight away. Very, very nice. So this will ensure the milk doesn't stick, because obviously the wand gets really hot and it will, the milk will stick on it and burn if you don't clean it straight away. The sooner you clean it, the better and easier it will be to clean. If you don't purge, the milk might get stuck in there and clog your milk wand. So yeah, with these very few maintenance tips, you can't go wrong. I personally also like to run a blank shot after, so I'm gonna knock the coffee out. Very easy to knock out. And then run a blank shot just to clean things up. That's it. Just, clean the grip head, clean the handle, keep things fresh. Now the machine is ready to be turned off, or maybe make another coffee. I'm gonna pour my milk now. So I'm going to knock down the jug on the table just to break any bubbles. Then swirl it around just to kind of mix it up. I see baristas do this all the time. So I'm going to do it as well. And obviously you want to mix your espresso as well with a spoon. If you have any sugar or sweetener in there. And very nice. Okay, with a little bit of practice, it's actually quite easy to do latte art on this machine. I just haven't bothered to practicing. It gives you really good textured milk. and it's quite easy to use. I think you'll love it. Whether you're a beginner or experienced barista, I think you'll enjoy this machine. If you have any issues or questions, feel free to ask me. As always, hopefully this video has helped you in some way, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.